All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of Beyond the Physique podcast. Today we're going to do a 2023 Natural Northern USA recap. Today I'm joined by Kayla Hamilton. This was her first competition. Thank you for being here, Kayla.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Okay, so she placed third in True Novice, third in Novice, and third in her Open class. All extremely positive results for first-time natural competitor. So let's talk a little bit about how you grew up, Kayla, and what you did growing up. So what kind of activities did you do growing up?
Growing up, I have two siblings, so you would always find me with my siblings. We were always like outside jumping on the trampoline, riding down the street on our bikes with the neighbor kids, swimming. Aside from that, if I was by myself, I was always playing Bratz dolls with my Barbie dolls or playing pretend kitchen. And I loved photographing when I was young, anything arts and crafts. And then I was huge into cheerleading. Like that was my jam for basically my entire life.
Awesome. So you were really active, spent a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. And then you also like the Bratz girls and the dolls and
huge Barbie dolls were a huge thing.
Barbie dolls.
Barbie dolls for sure. Well,
yeah. Blonde girl on stage looks like a Barbie doll. So
yeah, I kind of played the part.
Yeah. Okay, so cheerleading as well. Do you think cheerleading helped you overall?
I do. I remember telling you multiple times that day, and I even told it to other people that I have cheerleading as a history for me, and that I really think that ultimately overall helped, because with cheerleading, there's the competitive nature behind it. There's having to remember a routine, and granted, my routine that when I was up on stage was only like 30 seconds, not even, but it's still like having to remember that routine, keep a smile on your face, keep your composure even when you mess up, which I did when I was up there. So it's just overall, and like as a cheerleader too, you have to look the part, and then on stage you have to look the part. So I think cheerleading overall really helped me being on stage. You transitioned
pretty seamlessly into it from that. So obviously the diet and the training is quite a bit different, but a lot of the mindset I think is probably the same. So what do you like to do outside of bodybuilding and competing? So like what does Kayla do now?
Kayla takes photographs. I have my own photography business.
Awesome.
So that transitioned from my childhood into my adulthood, which is pretty cool. If I'm not doing that, I love baking. Totally my jam. I love baking just for the hell of it. Yeah. So I'll do that, hanging out with my friends and my family and my boyfriend. Between those things, that's usually what I'm doing. I still like to do arts and crafts. If I can get a little artsy and make people stuff, I'll still do that, but mostly just hanging out, with my friends or my family, my boyfriend, and baking.
Yeah. So photography, what kind of things do you like to photograph? What's like your niche?
Getting into weddings and couples. Those are the two things that I really like to photograph. Families as well, or even portraits are my jam.
Couples or weddings. That's awesome. So you said you have a photography business, so that's something I think you're hoping to do full time here.
Yep.
That's super exciting.
Yes.
Since you've been out of prep, have you had some more time to kind of dive into that?
I have, yeah. So I actually kind of took a break during prep just because I found it really hard to juggle working full time, making sure my cardio was done, my workouts were done, prepping all my food, just finding time to edit and all of that was really hard for me to kind of. And I didn't want to overwhelm myself throughout prep. There's already so much going on, so much emotion and all that behind it. I took a step back, and then literally I had a session immediately lined up as soon as I was done on Saturday. Like I had a session Sunday, come back from prep, which was cool. I was so excited about it. At the session, I literally felt like my brain was going a million miles an hour because I hadn't tapped into that creativeness side of me. So to tap back into that was like
that break, like give you a second to refresh yourself.
Yeah, it was so nice. I had to keep apologizing to my couple that I was with because I was like, I'm so sorry, but like I haven't done this in a while, so my brain's going a million miles an hour that like I had an idea and I had, it's just so it was cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what sparked your interest in competing? So like what did you see or what happened that made you decide I'm doing it, I'm getting on stage?
Okay, so I've worked at the gym for 8 years.
Forever.
So, and that really does feel like forever. But, you know, like whenever I first started working at the gym, I did not work out. I didn't do any of that. Julie actually is the one that got me into working out. We worked out religiously together for like 2 or more years. And, you know, I watched her go through her first prep. I think it was like 2018, something like that. Yeah. And I did that all with her. I didn't compete myself, obviously, but like I did all of her workouts with her, did all the cardio with her, like all the things. So like I kind of got a little bit of a taste of it then without like my diet being as strict, you know. Yeah. But then, you know, just being in that environment every day, it taps you into a different like mindset. You start picking people's brains about what prep is like, how they experience it, what it's like for them, like the process of it all. So it's just over time gaining that spark and that interest, and then Julie coming to me and being like, I think I'm gonna do a show in the fall, and I'm like, this is it, I'm doing it too. So
no chance, let's go.
Yeah.
So a little bit of just exposure over time.
Yeah,
that's cool. And then obviously you had Julie competing with you, so being in prep, she's kind of like your support system in a lot of ways. You guys have been friends for a long time.
About 15 years, something like that. So
being able to do that together is cool.
Yeah, super cool.
And thank you guys for choosing me, by the way. It was awesome.
It was a no-brainer.
Okay, so what are your favorite body parts to train? What do you like?
I feel like this is so cliche. Every girl says glutes. Glutes is one of my favorites, but above that would definitely be shoulders.
Glutes and shoulders.
I love training shoulders. I don't know, there's just something about like training shoulders and you get a nice shoulder pump going and you're just like, I'm she-woman.
That's funny. Yeah, well, we definitely pushed for a lot of shoulder growth going into this prep, and we definitely saw it. Yeah. So I was really excited with your delt growth.
Oh, me too.
Your overall look on stage was awesome. We had the delts, had the glutes, you had the shape they were after. So that's awesome. So going into prep, you know that you're gonna be hungry, you're gonna be tired, your schedule is gonna be tight. Like, these are all things you know. Like, what is something that you weren't expecting to be difficult that was difficult for you?
So like you said, you know everything's gonna be hard, but cardio was a huge thing that I kind of thought was not gonna be that hard. And at the beginning, it was super hard for me to do. Like, I remember you telling me, like, you can't skip cardio sessions, Kayla. Like, you have to do it. And I'm like, fine. And there was a couple times I literally cried over having to do cardio because I just did not want to do it. But other than that, just really time management was a huge thing that I did struggle with for a while, because I was like, man, like, I'm prepping my food, and then I quit my job at the gym and I got a new job. So it's like
every 3 weeks from my end, I saw a new level of Kayla develop. So like the Kayla that was in peak week had a new level of capabilities than you did at 20 weeks out. Mm-hmm. So like, if you do this again, like, having those tools is going to really, really help you, because you noticed, like, okay, well, I can't do X, Y, and Z, so why don't I put my effort into X and Y and do those really well? And that was hard for you because you had a lot of irons in the oven. Yeah.
I tend to do that to myself. I overwhelm myself with too much, and then it's like I just knew during prep I couldn't do that. So I was like, really like, all right, what's going to serve me right now best, and let me hone into that and focus on that, because that's what I need to pour into more right now, which is ultimately why I decided to step back from photography. Like, yes, it's super important to me. However, I'm not full-time with it, so it was very easy for me to just take a step back and then jump back into it, and now I can pour more into that as I'm in my off season. Come at it
with like a new, fresh perspective.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what mistakes did you make? Any unplanned refeeds?
Yeah. The last, like, 2 weeks before, where I like tried to cut out all my caffeine and everything, and like I got the worst freaking headaches of my life, and was like, I did all the thing. I'm not a huge pill person, and you know that, so I'm like, I'm not taking ibuprofen. Like, I just try to avoid that unless I absolutely have to. But like, I did all the things, you know, like my peppermint oil, like heat on the back of my head, like all the things. And then I was like, took the ibuprofen, even though I didn't want to, it didn't work. And then I was like, crackers always work, so I just ate these crackers. And then I texted him and I'm like, all right, I had crackers because I didn't know what else to do, but it did help my headache. Like, other than that, there was one time that I was looking at the wrong meal plan and overate on my carbs, and it was like, as soon as I realized, at that point, when you realize something like that, it's just like, all right, stop here, like, after, you know, like, you just fix your mistakes going forward, like, yeah. So I told you, I was like, I'm so sorry.
But you did tell me about both those.
Yeah.
So, like, where that helps me is, like, I know what actually happened for the week, so if I know the inputs and then I can see the output, but I don't actually know the inputs because you're not telling me the inputs, then I'm going to make adjustments that aren't correct.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because my info's off. So, like, just saying, hey, like, this is what happened. And we ended up taking that unplanned refeed and making it like a scheduled refeed. And we added a little bit in because we saw what happened to your composition. So, like, had I not known that you ate those crackers and then we saw your body weight drop, then I would have said the deficit is still helping, right? When really what we needed was to take a little bit of stress off of that deficit to let the body weight come off. So thank you for being honest with me about that.
I definitely learned that the honesty about the whole thing, like, mistakes are going to happen. It's kind of inevitable. We're humans. It just happens. But just being honest about it is, like, first of all, you hire a coach for a reason. Like, you got to trust in them.
Help you.
Yeah, like,
I'm not going to yell at you. I might be, like, disappointed or upset or, like, whatever, but I'm not going to, especially in stress, I'm not going to, or in prep, I'm not going to add the stress to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, this happened. Like, are you going to do it again? I don't think you're planning on doing that again, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Like, so if I sit here and just, like, berate you for something, then what's that really going to do? Like, okay, here's how we adjust.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you look up to for inspiration?
From day-to-day life, Julie's always been a huge inspiration for me. She's just someone, she's always been like a second mom to me, and like literally one of my best friends. She knows me ultimately better than most people in this world do, so she's always someone that I've always looked up to. But if it's like, I don't really have a gym inspiration, but another person that I look up to a lot is Cassidy Marie. She's another photographer, so those two are like the two that I like super look up to. So
cool.
Yeah.
What about as a kid? Was there any like athletes or famous people that you looked up to?
Not really. I was never really someone. Yeah, I was not really someone. I'm still not even someone that like glorifies. We're all people at the end of the day, so it's like I never, really. I've always looked up to those around me because those are the ones that are most impacting my life.
The most impactful, like Julie's, for example, has been there to help you through things.
Yeah.
Not just somebody you see on TV.
Exactly.
That's cool. Okay. On days that hunger and fatigue set in, so we knew that was coming, what did you do to get through that?
I constantly reminded myself that it was just another day. Like I had to get through that day, and then there's another day. It was me. I had to focus on short term, like that day. If I tried to focus on like, all right, I have 4 more weeks left. Like that seems like such a long time versus like focusing on one day. Like all I have to do is get through this one day, and then I have tomorrow. Like instead of being like, man, 4 weeks, like that is so much, because it is a lot. It is a long time. It's not just like blink and you're here 4 weeks later. If you look back, it seems that way. But like during that day, it's just like, just reminding myself to get through that day, and that it is mind over matter. Like the entire thing is mind over matter. Like you can do anything you put your mind to. And it's just, staying true to that, to yourself too. Yeah.
So just really looking at it as like making it through today, and then tomorrow's a new day. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that makes sense. So Americans are pretty food-focused people. Family gatherings, friend gatherings, like everybody hangs out around food and drink. What did you do in those situations at those gatherings to stay on track?
So I love this because everyone always asks, this is like a very common question that I get asked all the time. Yeah. I physically just take my own food. Yeah. I can recall so many times, so many family gatherings, like I took my own food. I took my own food scale because I knew they were making chicken. I'm like, cool, I don't even have to make chicken today. Like they already have chicken prepped, like cool. And I would just take any other side, like my rice with me or my veggies, whatever, I'd take with me.
Just weigh out the chicken.
But like my brother moved back into college, and I took all of my food for the day with me. All of us went to a Mexican restaurant, and yes, I really wanted to eat the food, but like I literally just sat there with my chicken and my rice and my veggies and just ate at the same time that they ate. You can still achieve all of your goals and still enjoy the things that your family and everyone else are partaking
around your family in that case too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it's a big thing to just eat your meal with them, even if it's different food.
Yeah.
Like bring it with you, because I tried the I'll eat my food before so they don't like think it's weird what I'm eating. You know what I mean? But then it's even weirder when you're sitting there drinking water when they're eating. And then it sucks because you're starving.
Yeah, and you're sitting there watching them eat. My family's pretty, like, they just know that's how I am. I've always been pretty good on my diet, like, sticking to, like, chicken and rice and all that. So, like, they're used to me eating like that. So, I guess maybe it was just easier for me. Not everyone would have that. But they're used to seeing me eat a certain way that it just was kind of normal for them, and they never really gave me a hard time about it. So that was, and they were super supportive throughout the whole thing too, which was really great. So
so what did you do that was like fun for yourself that wasn't around food or drink? So like people like to have fun around food and drink, so what did you find? So my boyfriend Jeff and I, we actually, like, food-wise, we would actually still make food, just make it according to how I want it. But we would go hiking, and just, like, swimming, like, things that didn't have to be involved around food. I mean, there's still, working out. I enjoy working out. So even if I don't have to do it, like, I still like to do it. But just being outside and just, being in nature and, just... going for hikes, swimming, stuff like that.
I like being outside, so... I would just do stuff like that.
So if you could redo this prep, what would you do differently?
I would go into it with a different mindset.
So
at the beginning of the year, like when I first came to you and said, hey, I'm thinking about prepping, I did really want to do a show and wanted to prep. But I had so much doubt in the back of my head that I was like, I'm literally not going to get through this. Like, I literally thought I would fail halfway through it. I was going to disappoint everyone. But I really showed up and I surprised myself. So that was just going into it with a different mindset. You have to go into it with a positive mindset and not so much of a lack of, because like prep is something that you get to do. You get to move your body every day. Some people can't, so it's like, I get to wake up every day. I get to go work out. I get to do this. I get to feel my body this way, and I get to prove myself. So it's just that mindset versus the lack of, like, I don't get to go to dinner with my family. I don't get to enjoy the same thing, just that lack of mindset versus that positive, like, strength behind it.
Like the scarcity mindset versus that makes sense. So what did you learn about yourself during this prep? Like, what is something that you learned about yourself that you can apply to the future?
So throughout this prep, I really showed, and I feel like everyone always says this, like, you learn a new strength, but you really do learn a new strength about yourself. Like, it's a totally different kind of strength too, because it's like you have to persevere every day when you're hungry. Like, you just want to eat everything in sight. So it's like persevering through that. Like, if I can get through that, I can get through anything, honestly, because that's just a different level of... It's
a different sport because it's 24/7. There is no off time.
No.
At all.
And it's just like, it teaches you discipline, consistency. Like, it just teaches you all of that. Like, you obviously, like, the routine and, like, you're, like, planning out your days and prepping and all that, like, it's a whole discipline and consistency that you have to stick with, and, like, you can transition that so much easier into your daily life outside of prep so easy, like, because you get
routines,
habits are everything. So it's just like maintaining those habits even in your off season.
That can apply to your business, it can apply to your job, it can apply to everything, because after you get into a routine of things, like my routine, I wake up, drink a shake, get my like breakfast in, pre-workout meal, and I train at 5 a.m. Like, that's just, and then no matter what, there's nothing that's going to throw me off that. So, and my meals are prepped. It only takes Mondays. So there's my training and there's my food.
You're setting yourself up for success.
So, like, it takes so much to pull me away from that. But that's a routine that I've developed over the last, like, 5-10 years. You know what I mean? Like, so it takes a little bit of time to get in the habit, but going through prep, like, I mean, it forces you to. So then it's there. Then you just have to.
Yeah, you just got to transition that and keep going with it, because it really does set you up for success throughout everywhere else in your life.
And you've done awesome in your reverse, which tells me that we didn't like ruin your relationship with food through this prep, because a lot of people want to go binging, and ultimately it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't want to ruin the physique that you spent 20 weeks dieting for, but truly it's the blood pressure and the edema that we want to avoid. Like, it's actually dangerous to go binging after your show. So we can work you up and keep your food slowly moving up as your body weight stays similar. And thank you for that. Thank you for following that. God bless. That makes
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what advice would you have for somebody considering competing for the first time?
The mindset, go into it with a better mindset and not such a lack of scarcity mindset. Definitely is a huge one. Know what your end goal is. You know, I wouldn't recommend making this I'm just going to try it just to try it, because it is a lifestyle change completely. It is. You know, and honestly, I tried to hide it all from my family. You know, I was like, I'm not telling anybody. But there's so much support in this world. So many people really do support you that, like, as time went on, I did start telling more people, and like, there's just so much support. So it's like going into the gym and people are like, yeah, like, you look great. And it's like, wow, thanks. You know, like, on the days that you're like really doubting yourself, you're like, just that little bit of, and I never look for, but I never wanted to tell anybody, because I didn't want all that, you know, people in my ear. But at the end of the day, it was nice to hear like the positive reinforcement every once in a while. Just lean into the people that are around you, you know, because you are going to struggle some days. It's ultimately going to happen. You're on prep, you're hungry, you know. But just really lean into people around you who love and support you.
So what would you say as far as like setting your life up for prep is like most important when thinking about scheduling a contest prep? So like things like your finances or your job or things like that, what would you make sure to have in order?
That's a really good question. Finances are definitely a huge one, and I would definitely say that, you know, because I struggled for a little bit there with that, because prep is not cheap. I mean, you're paying for your prep coach, you're paying for posing, you know, you got your heels, you got your practice suit, you got your stage suit, you got jewelry, your I mean, like, there's just so much that goes into it, and like your food every week too, like that stuff's not cheap. It adds up. So it's like, it's not a cheap sport. So people that think that they can get by just by the bare minimum, is just not. It's just not gonna happen. It's not
something that you want to half-ass. You
know, no, it's really not. At the end of the day, it's not, because that's a huge dedication. So to put if you're gonna do something, commit to it fully.
When coach says, "Hey, we need to add this supplement in," it's not because the coach wants $50. Like, 9 times out of 10, the coach doesn't make anything from that. But what they want is the result of that, and they probably want that quick. You know what I mean? So, like, the faster the change, and so, like, also things like your suit. Like, your suit was really nice. There's girls that they kind of cheap out on their suit, and it shows on stage, and then you're ultimately just setting yourself up. It sucks that it's the truth, but it is the truth. Like, if you have a nice suit, then you're going to look at it on stage.
It makes all the difference.
It's at least not going to hold you back. I'm not going to say go buy the most expensive suit because it's going to make you place better. But if you show up with a shitty suit, then you're not going to place better.
Exactly.
It's going to make you place worse. It's the whole look. Especially in bikini. So what is in the future for Kayla? What's the future look like for you as far as your bodybuilding goals and your personal goals? We'll start with the bodybuilding goals.
Bodybuilding goals, right now I'm really just focused on my reverse and, you know, not binging and going crazy, growing and just staying the track with that. There's definitely going to be a show in the future. Maybe spring is what I'm looking at next. So
springtime?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely do that. So what advice do you have for somebody post-contest to stay on track like you are? Because that's something you're nailing.
Yeah, so I realized really soon that the foods that I was not used to eating were really hurting my stomach. And it was like, this is not worth it. Like, it looks really good, yeah, but my stomach hurting? No, it's a huge no for me.
Yeah.
So I just was like, you know what? I really don't want to deal with my stomach hurting because that's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. So it's just, I just realized it was like, no. So I'm not doing that. Just honestly, even though you want to binge, you're going to feel better if you don't. At the end of the day, you're going to feel better. And then just really listening to your body, because you just put your body through so much stress, like so much stress. So like really just resting, honestly, because we took the whole week off after my show, and like I just did cardio, and just that little bit of movement was enough to keep, like, because I obviously want to move and all the things,
we gotta keep that routine. We can't completely throw you out of it.
Yeah,
keep a little bit of movement,
but just that little bit of movement helps. But the rest, I mean, like, you just put your body through so much, your mind through so much, like everything, your whole body needs to rest. So like that would be my biggest thing, is just resting and fully allowing yourself to rest.
Yeah. And you pair the foods that you eat with how you feel really well, and that helps you not run into like the emotional eating trap, because you look at ultimately like the food as a feeling, not necessarily like the dopamine response when they get from a sundae. You're looking at it like, ooh, I'm sure that tastes good, but
it's gonna hurt my stomach.
I know what that's gonna do to me for the rest of the day. And I'd like to have a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So is there anything that you wanted to bring up or talk about at all?
I'll add that something that I found really helpful for me throughout prep was habit stacking. Okay. And if this isn't something that someone's used to doing or ever heard of, it's literally taking something that you have to do and pairing it with something that you like to do. Okay. So for me, early on, it was realizing I didn't like cardio. So it was like finding something that I could do while I'm doing cardio that helped me get through it. So for me, that was watching my favorite show on Netflix. Cool. So like habit stacking was really useful for me in that way. And even like meal prepping, if you like listening to podcasts, meal prep and listen to a podcast, you can... That can transform into multiple. So you're looking
forward to the meal prep because you get to listen to the podcast.
Or you're looking forward to cardio because you get to watch your favorite show. Like, that really is ultimately what helped me change my mindset on cardio and didn't make it so dreadful. Because as time went on, cardio got so much easier. And I literally was like, all right, I get to do cardio because I get to watch my show. Yeah. So that would be another.
That's big. I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah. Habit stacking. It's,
That's awesome. I'm going to steal it. And I'm going to share that with everybody else. Like, listen, y'all, I got this idea from Kayla. So
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited about the springtime and your future. I'm excited to see what you do as a photographer and your business as a whole. So we'll use this chance here. Could we plug your photography business, your Instagram, Facebook? Where can people find you, Kayla?
You can find me on Instagram. My photography page is kayla.hamilton.photos. So
easy enough.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Have an awesome rest of your week. Boom. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Physique podcast. If you enjoyed this and would like to hear more like it, be sure to subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at Trevor W Training, on YouTube at Strategic Aesthetics, on Facebook, Trevor Woodyard, and you can also apply for coaching at strategicaesthetics.com.